A budding trade partnership tested US-India trade at a crossroads. The United States and India, two economic powerhouses bound by shared democratic values and increasingly intertwined economies. The relationship, however, hasn't been without its share of friction, particularly in the arena of trade. While bilateral trade has ballooned to nearly $190 billion, a significant trade deficit has become a sticking point, with the US importing considerably more from India than it exports. This imbalance, coupled with differing tariff policies and trade practices, has led to tensions and calls for a reassessment of the trade dynamic. As of 2023, the total value of goods and services exchanged between the two nations reached an impressive $190 billion, signifying the growing economic interdependence between these global players. The US exported approximately $70 billion worth of goods and services to India during this period, ranging from advanced machinery to sophisticated technology. India, on the other hand, exported a hefty $120 billion to the US, with key sectors like pharmaceuticals, textiles, and information technology leading the charge. This disparity in trade flows resulted in a $50 billion trade deficit for the United States with India in 2023, a figure that has drawn considerable attention from policymakers and businesses alike. Understanding the factors driving this deficit, from India's competitive manufacturing sector to the U.S.'s appetite for Indian goods and services, is crucial for crafting effective trade policies going forward. As we delve deeper into this complex relationship, we'll unpack the nuances of tariffs, trade barriers, and the ongoing quest for a more balanced and mutually beneficial trading partnership. The trade imbalance, a deep dive into the deficit. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the trade deficit. The US has one with India, and it's a big deal. It reached a whopping $50 billion in 2023. Now, a trade deficit isn't inherently bad. It can sometimes just be a reflection of economic strengths and consumer preferences. But when it's this large, it raises eyebrows and sparks calls for adjustments. So, what's fueling this imbalance? Well, India has some serious manufacturing muscle, especially in sectors like pharmaceuticals, textiles, and jewelry. These industries are churning out products that are in high demand in the US market. From affordable generic drugs to intricate garments, Indian goods have carved out a significant space in American homes and businesses. Adding to this is India's booming IT sector. Indian software engineers and IT professionals are globally renowned for their skills and cost-effectiveness, making India a go-to destination for outsourcing and IT services. This has led to a surge in US imports of software and IT services from India, further widening the trade gap. It's a classic case of supply and demand. India's competitive industries are meeting a strong appetite for their products and services in the US, but the size of the deficit has sparked debate about whether the playing field is truly level. Trade barriers and disputes navigating tariffs and trade practices. The US and India haven't exactly been shy about using tariffs. It's like a trade policy version of a rap battle, except instead of diss tracks, they use import taxes. Before 2025, the US had tariffs on Indian goods, averaging between 0 to 10%. Sounds reasonable, right? Except for steel and aluminum, those got hit with higher tariffs under Section 232. And let's not forget about India losing its Generalized System of Preferences, GSP, benefits in 2019, which slapped tariffs on around $5 to $6 billion worth of their exports. India wasn't about to back down. They retaliated with their own set of tariffs, averaging around 13.8% for most US goods. But here's the kicker. They hit certain products like automobiles, alcohol, and electronics with much higher tariffs, some even reaching a whopping 100%. And remember that whole GSP debacle? India retaliated there too, targeting 28 US products with additional tariffs. But hold up, because things got even spicier in April 2025. President Trump, citing concerns about trade deficits and unfair trade practices, decided to shake things up. He declared a national emergency and imposed a new round of tariffs. These tariffs, starting at 10%, were designed to be reciprocal, meaning they'd hit back at countries that had higher tariffs on US goods. India found itself in the crosshairs, facing a 27% tariff, 10% implemented immediately, and the rest phased in later. The Trump administration justified this move by pointing to India's high tariffs, currency practices, and lack of reciprocity in market access. charting a course forward, the future of US-India trade relations. So, where do we go from here? Well, despite the tariff tit-for-tat, both the US and India seem to understand that a full-blown trade war isn't in anyone's best interest. They've been trying to dial down the tension and find some common ground. There have been some positive signs. India has reduced tariffs on some US agricultural products, and both sides are talking about bringing back the GSP benefits. Plus, they've revived the US-India Trade Policy Forum to iron out their differences. But the road ahead isn't exactly paved with rose petals. There are still some major sticking points. The US wants India to open up its markets further, especially for dairy products, medical devices, and agricultural goods. They're also concerned about India's policies on data localization, digital taxes, and intellectual property protection, particularly when it comes to pharmaceuticals and software. Looking ahead, the future of US-India trade will likely hinge on a few key factors. First, both countries need to resist the urge to escalate the tariff war any further. Instead, they should focus on negotiating a comprehensive trade deal that addresses their respective concerns. This will require compromise on both sides. The US may need to reconsider some of its protectionist measures, while India may need to liberalize some of its trade and investment policies.